A National Post article was published about the Canadian Charter of Rights, about what we are actually entitled to in this country and what we're not. Canadians have a constitutional right to unequal treatment, new report argues. The law cannot simultaneously apply the same laws and standards to everyone and also adjust them depending upon the group. Bruce Pardy writes. Who's Bruce Pardy? Well, he is a professor at Queen's University. We actually have his bio right here. Professor Pardy is a classically liberal legal academic for whom equal application of the law, negative rights, private property, limited government, and separation of powers are foundational to the Canadian and Western legal tradition. So take it with a grain of salt. He's a lawyer. He's in law. He's an academic. But he also has a specific political leaning, as he says here in his bio. So take that with a grain of salt as we go into this story. Equity is not equality. Is a constitutionally protected right in Canada, argues a new report published by Calgary-based think tank. Canadians have been sold a bill of goods, Bruce Pardy, the author of the report and Queen's University law professor, told National Post by email. Many of them think that they have a right to equal treatment under the law, which, if you're reading this right now, if you're watching the show, many of us all think that. Everyone should get equal treatment under the law. That's just part of being Canadian, it's part of living here. That's just kind of our expectation of how our laws should work. Again, should work is the key there. Many of them, as you said, think they have a right to equal treatment under the law, and I'd agree. They think that discrimination is illegal. We agree. But nothing could be further from the truth, they said. In Canada, discrimination is lawful as long as it is committed against the right groups, and in particular, against straight white men, the report suggests. This isn't just the law, but part of the Canadian Constitution. Unequal treatment is embedded as a constitutional standard, and in some situations, a constitutional requirement. In Canada, the principle of equity, seeking to achieve identical group outcomes, has made judicial inroads across the country, Pardy argues in a report published this week by the Aristotle Foundation for Public Policy. The issue should be particularly concerned to young Canadians who could be squeezed out of opportunities because of their identity, Pardy told the Post. Front of mind for him was the recent announcement by Toronto Metropolitan University's TMU new medical school that 3/4 of its seats would be allotted to equity-deserving groups. This kind of thing has become widespread with job openings and government programs excluding people who are not preferred race or gender. They go into a bunch of different stories that have taken place, a bunch of different cases that have taken place, and then the report itself lays out a lot of examples of where the law was changed and how the law was applied to a scenario was different because of what someone looked like or what group they were part of. This paper argues that Canada's legal framework prioritizes equity over equality, that we as Canadians have conflated what America has with what we have. The two are not the same. Equality under the law is not something we have here in Canada. And it won't say it in the Charter of Rights, but equity is definitely favored in a lot of cases here. Some highlights we picked up from the report. In June 2021, an Ontario high school student tried to sign up for a summer program, and he was rejected because he was white. His father filed a complaint with the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal alleging racial discrimination. The tribunal dismissed the complaint. They wrote back in the response is that white people cannot claim discrimination. An allegation of racial discrimination racial discrimination or discrimination on the grounds of color is not one that can be or has been successfully claimed by persons who are white and non-racialized. What we have here in Canada is not the same what they have in the States. We often try to conflate them. I hear a lot on TikTok too from people that we have the right to free speech. We don't have that here. We have the right to freedom of expression, which that definition of that gets changed consistently. Our Constitution, our rights are not really ironclad here. There's a lot of room for ambiguity and applications based on scenarios and situations. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there. But when people tend to cite our Constitution or cite our Charter of Rights, I chuckle a little bit because they treat it and view it as if it's the American Charter of Rights or the Declaration of Independence. Two very different things. We were the obedient child to the monarch. America had a revolution to get what they wanted. You're not going to have the same laws because your countries were founded on two different principles. That's just the reality. So this was a very interesting story that National Post posted, the study that Bruce Pardy was a part of. Check it out. See your thoughts are. It is very interesting.